who have gathered here to commemorate the legendary Before we start, I would like to invite Dr. Amrita Nandakumar for the prayer.
Manikya Veena-mupalayanti Madalasam Manjula Vagvilasa Mahindra Nilathyate Komalangi Madanga Kanya Manasa Smarami Madanga Kanya Manasa Smarami Chaturbhuji Chandrakalavathamsi Kuchonnati Kungumaragashoni Pundrekshu Pashangusha Pushpabana Haste Namaste 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 Jagadeka Mata.
Assembled here today to share our sadness, which has been perpetuating to all of us for last 1 month. And we have seen a great life leading a great institution for more than 100 years, and the demise has touched all of us very deeply. So on this day, Center for Innovations in Science and Social Action, who has been pioneering the saga of Global Ayurveda Festival for last 10 years, thought it is important to commemorate this great soul through the people who have been very closely associated with this great personality for decades. None other than Honorable Minister Sri Muralidharan encouraged us to have this meeting today and invite those kind of people who have been with Sri P.K. Warrier for a long time and has contributed to his growth and his institution's growth in one way or other. It is in this background that CISA decided to host this symposium to commemorate a great soul. When I speak, actually my eyes are filled with tears because he has touched my life many point of time, which I have articulated in one of the regional magazine of my experience. Words cannot complete our understanding of this great person, but I thought it is appropriate to get people like Dr. Swaminathan, who was instrumental for institution like Medicinal Plant Research Center in Kottakkal, Dr. Swaminathan, who helped and guided the research activities in Kottakkal. Dr. Vandana Shiva has been a helping hand to all the efforts of Kottakkal, especially anything to do with socializing of social aspects of Ayurveda and taking Ayurveda to the people. Professor Bhushan Patwardhan was associated with the limited kind of experiments being done by CSIR, CCRIS and DST. And he has been one of the mentors of that program. He has been associated with P.K. Warrier. Gerald Bodaikar from Australia with the identity in Oxford and in Malaysia has been also a part of his life in many point of time. And latest colleagues from Germany, from institutes, of which Dr. Shalkumar is part of it, and a few dignitaries from that organization also is part of us. I take this opportunity to welcome Honorable Minister and all the respected participants and persons who are going to share their experience about this great soul to this August meeting symposium of on P.K. Vaidya. With these few words of introduction and welcome, I very humbly invite our Honorable Minister Sri Muralidharanji to inaugurate the symposium with his introductory remarks and his experiences. Thank you. Dr. Muralidharanji, please.
Respected Dr.M.S.Valiathan, Vaidya Rajesh Kotechaji, Dr. Vandana Shiva, Dr.Bhushan Patwardhan, Dr.Gerard Bodekar, Dr.Thomas Ram, Dr. C.L. Kumar, Dr.Aline Sigrist, Mr. Hubert Seal, Dr.Madhavankutty Warrior, Dr. G.G. Gangadharan, and many others who have joined this program for an online commemorative symposium on the life and legacy of Dr. P.K. Warrier. Namaskaram to all of you. Let me begin my interaction or my tributes by paying my tributes to the Doyen of Ayurveda, Dr. P.K. Warrier, who played a key role in the renaissance and modernization of Ayurveda. His love for Ayurveda is reflected in his noble deeds. In fact, what I could understand is that he aspired to be an engineer, but then following the tradition of his family, he decided to be a Ayurveda practitioner, following the footsteps of his great uncle. As a chief physician and the managing trustee of the Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala, P.K. Warrier played a pioneering role in making Ayurveda the most acceptable form of medicine to crores of people. Every Ayurveda lover owe a great debt to him for transforming the Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala into one of the leading Ayurvedic healthcare chains in the country, and thereby creating it as an inspiration, as a model that can be emulated. And hundreds of Ayurveda practitioners now aspire to emulate that model. Over a 7-decade-long career, Dr. Warrior set a benchmark for the Indian traditional healing system and played a pivotal role in the renaissance of Ayurveda. He was committed to the scientific pursuit of Ayurveda and left no stone unturned to provide for the modernization of Ayurveda. In fact, Dr. Warrior approached life with a revolutionary zest. He strived to alleviate pain and to provide a healthy and healing touch. He didn't aim to make money out of healing. That was the tradition of India. For food and medicine, one shouldn't accept any remuneration. That is the tradition of the Indian ethos. That is the Indian tradition. So he practiced that in his whole life. And even now, I can very proudly say that Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala is following that. Even now, there are people who have no means to take care of the means to meet the requirements of the medicines and others. They get free treatment. Of course, the Arya Vaidya Sala may have to charge some people who can afford, but they provide free treatment even now to hundreds and thousands of people. And staying true to the principles of Ayurveda, he touched many lives, he transformed many lives, and gave a fresh start and new purpose with his brilliance to the field of Ayurveda. I don't think that I'll be able to describe his life in brief, because the paths he had trodden, it is surprising to many of us, because I was reading the other day his connection with Vallathol, the friendship that he had with Vallathol Narayan Menon. The way he encouraged the Kathakali, the traditional art, the classical art of Kerala. And at the same time, he was part of the, I can say that he contributed, he was attracted by the freedom struggle of India. And he left his studies in a way. Later became an ordinary factory manager in Arya Vaidya Sala, before taking it over its reins and developing the institution as a renowned center of Ayurveda and carving a niche for himself as a globally renowned Ayurveda physician. Last year, I had the opportunity to personally wish him on his birthday. And when he directly came on the line, from the voice, I couldn't make out that I am speaking to a person who is 99. Because that was the strength of his voice. His voice was so clear at that age. I thought that he may be speaking in a slightly feeble voice. I have not met him personally for, I think, some 3-4 years. So during these 3-4 years, when I planned to wish him greet him and take his blessings on his birthday, when the phone was connected to him, I was really pleasantly surprised, because the life that he has lived for his 100 years, not just preaching something that one doesn't practice. He practiced what he preached. That was the speciality of Dr. P.K. So, he has also penned in his autobiography, his philosophy behind the growth of the institution. He said that we should begin small and then flourish. We should not start big and then shrink. That is the organic way of growth. And personally speaking, his courteous behavior, I can say that I am around 4 decades younger to him. But the way he used to treat when we used to go and meet him, it touches the heart of any person. And the effectiveness, he didn't do it only with such ministers or such people who are known in the society. He had the same treatment with every patient he used to come to. So his behavior and the effectiveness of his treatment, that made patients willing to wait any number of days for an appointment with him. They had a reason also. Dr.Warrier had cured several diseases which other doctors had written off as incurable. He dreamt of a world where Ayurveda is internationally accepted and expanding the Vaidya Sala further. I can now say that he breathed last with a satisfaction and fulfillment that Ayurveda is now recognized across the globe. And I pleasantly recall I had the occasion to be to be associated with the 4th Global Ayurveda Festival, which was organized by CISA under the leadership of Dr. G.G. Gangadharan and Dr. Suresh Kumar, and Madhavankutti Warrior was one of the patrons. And there were hundreds and thousands of Ayurveda lovers and practitioners who had joined online for days together. It was a, I think, 4 days, 6-day event. Various sessions, even in the time of COVID. That speaks volumes of the effort that Dr. P.K. Warrier undertook, and the success that his efforts have achieved. In fact, the government of India has recognized the efforts of Dr. Warrier by establishing an Ayush ministry to promote conventional medical services and popularize India's knowledge on healthcare. I consider this as a major step in realizing the dreams of many legends like Dr. P.K. Warrier. And I can say that ever since the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji took over the Prime Ministership in 2014, more and more focus is laid on research and innovation. Ayurvedic principles and medicine is being recognized globally. And the efforts by the government for preserving India's rich heritage in medicine and getting its scientific approval with the help of researchers and taking this best gift to the world and making it a better and higher and happier place. That would be the best way to pay tribute to the legacy of Dr. Warrier. I am sure that the government of under Shri Narendra Modi ji is doing exactly that. And I recall the speech made by the Prime Minister in the Global Ayurveda Festival. He mentioned about the working to strengthen the educational system. He also said that the facilitating of the enforcement of quality control of Ayurveda and Siddha and ensuring sustainable availability of raw materials is the responsibility of the government. And he mentioned that the Prime Minister mentioned that the policy regarding Ayurveda and other Indian system of medicine is already aligned with the traditional medicine strategy 2014-2023 of the World Health Organization. And I'm sure that all of us are aware that WHO has also announced the setting up of the Global Center for Traditional Medicine in India. So I'm sure that many of you would be aware that few days ago or few months ago, the United Nations declared 2023 to be the International Year of Millets. So I think that it's the duty of each one of us to spread the awareness of the benefits of millets. Because Ayurveda, if I quote Mahatma Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi ji said that I think highly of Ayurveda. It is one of the ancient sciences of India, which ensures the health of the millions of in her thousands of villages. I advise every citizen to live life in accordance with the principles of Ayurveda. The pharmacy, the dispensary, and the Vaidyaraj all have my blessings, and they may be enabled to render the best possible service to Ayurveda. Unquote. So Ayurveda is not just a method of treatment. It is a part of our food intake. That is why Ayurveda and Ahar, they are related to each other. Our traditional medicines, the benefits of our traditional products, whether it is the medicinal value, the products that have medicinal value like turmeric or many other such products. Very recently, I had the opportunity to visit South America. And in Guatemala, there were people who were telling me that we import turmeric from India. So the world is recognizing the medicinal value of Indian herbs, Indian medicines, India's traditional way of treatment, and India's food habits. And now the COVID has made us realize that better. Because in COVID we are now adopting to more safer, more healthier methods of food. So I think Ayurveda is exactly that. And Dr. P.K. Warrier, during his life, which spanned for a whole century, he was trying to spread this message that Ayurveda is not just a treatment, it's a way of life. And I'm sure that the real tribute will be to him will be to follow his teachings, follow the ideals in which he lived, and instead of preaching those ideals, let us all try to live those ideals. Let us all try to practice those ideals in our everyday life. With these words, let me pay my tributes to Dr. P.K. Warrier again, and namaskaram to all of you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your elaborate remembrance of this great soul, touching upon Global Ayurveda Festival 2 in the process, and his connection and his leadership, all of Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala's leadership in actualizing the expectation of meetings, groups like Global Ayurveda Festival. The next speaker is Dr. M.S.Valiathan, who has informed us that in case if he is not able to make it to the meeting virtually due to his compromised health, he has kindly sent us a small message to be read to the august audience in case if he is not able to come virtually to the meeting. And I don't see his face popping up any of this place. So let me, on behalf of Dr. Swaminathan, read his short message that he has conveyed to us to be given to this audience. It is with very deep sorrow that the sad news of Dr. P.K. Warrier was received by all those who have benefited from his treatment over the years. Since 1953, Dr. Warrier has nurtured Arya Vaidya Sala with love and care, making it the repository of the science and practice of Ayurveda. A modern Ayurveda hospital with the latest amenities was established under his guidance. With the foresight of Dr. Warrier, AVS now has an outstanding research center in medicinal plants, recognized as a center of excellence by the Government of India. At the same time, it also operates charitable hospitals to extend the benefits of Ayurveda to the economically underprivileged. Dr. Warrier has contributed to the providing Ayurveda as a science, able to improve the quality of life of numerous men and women, seeking cure for diseases for which there is no allopathic remedy. I personally have been coming to Kottakkal since 2000, and my admiration and respect for Dr. Warrier and everyone connected with AVS has only grown from year to year. I hope that this tradition will continue to grow and gain recognition as a science, combining with other sciences to improve human health and well-being. I take this opportunity to pay my respect to Dr. P.K. Warrier for his immense contributions to the health of our nation and indeed humanity. M.S. Swaminathan. We are extremely thankful for Swaminathan to pay these words, which are very highly touching words of his relationship. And he is a person who has been continuously going to Kottakkal every year for a 21-day long treatment. And one of the reasons for his health, and he has been contributing the way he has been contributing, is because of his annual treatment being received from Kottakkal without any fail. I am extremely happy that Dr. Vaidya Rajesh Kottachal also is joining us. and I welcome him. I can see some of the faces like Dr. Narendra Mehrotra from Lucknow, and others have joined us. And now let me invite on behalf of all of you, Dr. M.S.Valiathan, to say a few words commemorating his association with P.K. Vaidya and Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala. Please join Dr. Valiathan.
Friends, it is a sad privilege for me to attend this memorial meeting for Dr. P.K. Warrior and pay a tribute to him on this occasion. Dr. P.K. Warrior was a legendary physician, a centenarian who was revered universally, and also a great professional leader who built on the foundations of his uncle's Arya Vaidya Sala and made it what it is today, a globally known, highly recognized institution. I had the privilege of knowing him 30 years ago. We came in contact. I had gone there to give a Foundation Day lecture. That's the first time I met him. And subsequently, over these 3 decades, I have been very closely associated with the Arya Vaidya Sala in many capacities. I had been a member of several committees, a research committee. I took the CSR, Dr. Mashelkar, to sign an agreement for continuing cooperation, mutually beneficial arrangement between CSR and Kottakkal. And subsequently, when I started redacting the Ayurvedic classics, especially Sushruta and Vagpada, I had full cooperation from the Ayurvedic scholars in Kottakkal. So in many capacities, I had worked with Kottakkal, and I have very great admiration for the leadership of Dr. P.K. Warrier. He was a great man, a great physician. When we talk about greatness in Ayurveda, I am reminded of Acharya Vagpada's words. He has actually defined greatness in Ayurveda. Many of you will know that Vishajam Sadhu Vruttanam Bhadram Agamashalinam Abhyasta Karmanam Bhadram Bhadram Bhadrabhirashanam. That sums up the whole greatness in Ayurveda, Ayurvedic physicians. The first thing is good conduct. Sadhu Vruttanam. Good conduct comes out of purity of character. That's the first essential he talks about. The second is agamas, the knowledge of medical texts. You have to be very familiar with that. And thirdly, abhyasta karmana. You have to be skilled in your practice. And these 3 will not be enough. The last, above all, he puts it, bhadram bhadrabhilashana. That is goodwill for everybody. Moving, unmoving, that goodwill, not just human beings only. Then only he becomes a great physician. And in my opinion, Dr. P.K. Warrier was a personification of all these. Not only that, he went beyond this also. He, like a great professional, he built up Arya Vaidya Sala. The way he took charge of it, by accident, he was put in charge of this. And from then on, he built it into a place where we have very high standards of clinical practice. We have research being done, collaborative research with our own Ayurvedic biology groups. He has been very open. He was traditional, but at the same time open to modernity. So I have the highest admiration for him. And this is not an occasion for us to mourn or express sorrow. It was a great good fortune for us to have him among us and to pay our sincere tributes to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Valiathanji, for your profound recollection of your relationship with a great soul. It will be remembered always. I now invite, in case Dr. Vaidya Kottacha is available, come and present his experience. In case there is difficulty, I invite Dr. Vandana Shiva, who is known for all of us for her contribution to the field of making science ethically sound and making science socially useful and making science for all. And she has been a veteran in the area of taking science to the people and making it more acceptable. And she has been leading the lights of CISA kind of organizations through many activities of social organization like Annam Movement, Ayurveda Festival, etc. and etc. She has been a part of Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala group, and we met each other in the centenary celebration when she was invited as one of the keynote speakers of that event. I am sure Dr. Vandana will have a lot to say on Dr. P.K. Vaidya. Vandana ji, please join.
वंदना जी आप म्यूट है.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Patwardhan. I was thanking Dr. Gangadharan and the CISA team for organizing this tribute to amazing Dr. P.K. Warrier, who has basically upheld the tradition of Ayurveda in spite of repeated attempts to push it into darkness and eclipse. In fact, the Ayurveda Shala was created because Ayurveda was being pushed to the margins. And when Dr. P.K. Warrier wrote to me and invited me for the centennial celebrations, he wrote very clearly that it was for the work on biopiracy I had done, because, you know, I have no background in Ayurveda. It's my connections with CISA and the Ayurvedic festivals that have educated me to some small amount. But Dr. Warrier asked me to talk about biopiracy, the interesting phenomena of the big commercial interests of the West, telling us that Ayurveda is superstition, that neem has pesticide properties or healing properties is superstition. And while they put our indigenous knowledge down, they're taking our indigenous knowledge and patenting it. And so this is what had happened with the neem and its pest control properties. And when I saw this patent in a biotechnology journal, I immediately mobilized 100,000 signatures, and we took the case to the European Patent Office. And it took me 11 years, but it was in that period that the centennial came. And Dr. Warrier was very keen that the importance of biodiversity to Ayurveda and the importance of defending our indigenous knowledge systems was key. And I'm so glad that celebrating 100 years of the Ayurveda Shala, I was able to meet Dr. Warrier, but he insisted, he said, you have to go and see our biodiversity herbal garden. He was so proud of it. And Ayurveda is the only healing system that's global, but connects from the herb biodiversity to the deep knowledge, 5,000 years, and all the way to our particular bodies. Now, the reason I have such deep respect for Ayurveda and for Dr. P.K. Warrier and all the Veds who have joined here is because of my training in quantum theory, which taught me that the mechanistic worldview is actually a very crude and very primitive worldview, that mechanistic reductionism isn't the explanation of how living systems work. Ayurveda is the highest science in this, but all new emerging life sciences, not the engineering of life to take patterns and manipulate life and create more disease. That is not science. That is business. That's commerce. And as the Minister of State said, making money out of food and medicine has never been our tradition. But making money out of food and medicine is what 100 years of big agriculture, big pharma has given us. And we are living in an age of sickness, of disease, as COVID teaches us. Never before has Ayurveda been more relevant. Emerging sciences, not reductionist science here. I've always said, how can it be that you take Cartesian causality, a man who said, I am a thinking thing without a body. How can that philosophy teach you how to take care of a body? It cannot. And we are not thinking things, we are intelligent beings. That Cartesian causality of one cause, one effect, and particle causality is not the way living systems work. Herbs and human bodies, plants and seeds and agriculture. Ayurveda recognized that food is deeply connected to our health. 10 years is all that the West has woken up to the value of the gut microbiome. So in a way, Western science is catching up with Ayurvedic science. More importantly, Ayurveda always recognized that what matters is the potential of a body to heal. And that's what Ayurveda practice is, to allow the body to heal itself by creating the conditions of healing. This is what the planet is asking for. At a time where we have climate disasters everywhere, floods everywhere, fires everywhere, people dying, human beings are dying. At this point, we need the philosophy and science of Ayurveda. And that's why also my tribute to Dr. Warrier is to basically say, you've left an amazing legacy. It is our commitment, no matter what discipline we come from, people like me come from physics, to hold your mission, to uplift Ayurveda to the status of a cardinal healthcare system all over the world. This is what the science is inviting us to do. This is what healing is inviting us to do. This is for getting out of that greed machine that is bringing the world to collapse, is inviting us to do. I would request that all of you demand that at least 50% of the budget comes to spread the message of Dr. P.K. Warrier, the message of Ayurveda, the science of Ayurveda. I am here to continue what little bit I can do. I'm so grateful that I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Warrier, and I commit myself that this work that we must do collectively, we will do in strength by joining our knowledges, joining our powers, joining our ability to contribute, because Ayurveda is not a linear system. Ayurveda is a holistic system. And this holistic system is what the world is needing today. The whole world is waiting, and we must never put ourselves down to say the science is an allopathy. We have a practice. No, we have the science. They have the practice of greed. Big Pharma and its greed has been so revealed during the COVID pandemic, where in a quarter, 35 billion was made out of one vaccine in 3 months. This is not the way our heritage worked. This is not the way our Arya Vaidya Sala worked. This is not the way P.K. Warrier worked. Let us keep our beautiful indigenous traditions and values alive and our knowledge systems alive and regenerate our biodiversity like Dr. Warrier was doing. Every part of India should be a biodiversity garden. Every part of India should be a herbal garden. This is the vision we must work with.
Thank you, Vandanaji, for that very inspiring, which you always do. Whenever you open your mouth and speak to the people, you inspire us, and we have been inspired. And one of these messages, I think groups like CISA will take forward, and the groups who are working in this field will take forward. It's a great tribute to a great soul like P.K. Warrier doing what you have said now. Now I invite Professor Dr.Gerard, who is known to many people who are working in the integrative medicine area, in the wellness area, and the area of Ayurveda. And he is a great lover and supporter of Ayurveda. He has been quite a multiple introductions, starting from Oxford University professor to his work in Malaysia, and he is from Australia. And he has been always a great supporter of good things that's happening in Ayurveda. He has been associated with the Global Ayurveda Festival. He has been associated with many such movements that's happening in India. With his roots in India, he has been always a great lover and enthusiast in the field of Ayurveda. I invite Professor Gerard to share his experience and pay tribute to this great soul. Dr. Bodekar.
Thank you, Gigi. And it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I'd like to just say that I feel on this Guru Purnima Day, the feeling that those of you who were so close as disciples to Dr. Warrier are feeling. It's so poignant to have this celebration on Guru Purnima Day. Dr. Warrier clearly, in his very modest way, was a guru to so many. A guru not simply to his immediate students and circle, but through outreach, through expansion of Ayurveda, through fighting for Ayurveda, creating boldly new directions for Ayurveda and the expansion of Ayurveda. This is the influence of a guru's work, far beyond his immediate circle. And I think we have to pay tribute on Guru Purnima Day to Dr. P.K. Warrior's contribution as a guru in this very expanded sense. In that sense, also, I think, as Dr. Valiathan said, this is a time to celebrate a life. The shlok in Ayurveda Amritanam, Ayurveda is for immortality. I think we see very fully lived in Dr. Warrior's life. For a start, he reached 100 years. We hope we can be as successful, and as the Honourable Minister pointed out, not only 100 years, but 100 years sounding and being young in spirit and voice. This is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is for immortality. And again, in the more expanded sense, we can see that Dr. Warrior's legacy and gift has been to work for the immortality of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is for immortality, and we want immortality for Ayurveda. Through the expansion of public services, through free services for the poor, through partnering with research groups and organizations, Dr. Warrier has created a really sound and ethical and socially responsible footing for Ayurveda to ensure its perpetuity, immortality for Ayurveda. This is a very substantial contribution. And again, drawing on the great sort of landmark shloks that guide us, as people have pointed out, his vision was for this profound system of knowledge embedded in very deep, as Dr. Vandana has pointed out, quantum science, was that the whole world should have this. Vasudev Kutumbakam. The world is my family. The world is my family. And one of the things that's so wonderful about Ayurveda is that Ayurveda really is about an understanding of nature. You all know that. And a profound understanding of nature has to have principles that reflect the organizing principles of nature. And again, picking up on Dr. Vandana's points, the organizing of nature is not most successfully characterized in terms of classical mechanical physics, theory of physics. It's much more of a quantum, it is a quantum process. And Ayurveda understands that. I think just to slightly expand on where we might want to go, Ayurveda really is offering insights on the organizing principles of biology. And these are not being studied from a systemic or perspective, or from the perspective of validating the fundamental theories and principles of Ayurveda. I think, in my mind, that is where the greatest contribution to science lies ahead of us. Understanding the principle of the doshas, of the nadis, of seasonal variation in physiological functioning. It's great to have outcomes research where we look at a particular treatment and the health outcome of that. But there is the potential to put a lever at the fulcrum of knowledge and shift perspective through really going into the validity of the organizing principles and theories of Ayurveda, because they are expressions of the organizing principles of nature. There's much for us to be learned, much for us to learn. And I think also I'd like to pay special tribute to Dr. Warrier's tenacity. As a young man joining the freedom movement for Free India, we know Ayurveda was suppressed under British imperial rule. We all know about Macaulay's Minute on Education from 1835, where it was advice to the Governor General that all instruction should be in the English language in the colonies, and particularly in India. And that meant a big suppression of Ayurveda. And to fight back for Indian rights, political rights, to fight for a marginalized healthcare tradition, and to, in a single lifetime, see it become center stage, researched at leading institutions around the world, something promoted as an attraction for people to come to India for, is a real historic achievement in the space of a single lifespan. And I think we need to contribute, to pay tribute to Dr. Warrier as a warrior, victorious, and living long enough to see his victory. So I'd like to also share my condolences to those of you who were especially close to Dr. Warrier. Dr. Gigi opened sharing that he had tears in his eyes when he was opening this session. For those of you who were disciples, who were so close to Dr. Warrier, who loved him, our hearts are with you. And we share your sense of loss, but also a sense of vision and hope that the momentum that he was part of creating is unstoppable now, and that Ayurveda will become respected not only as a healthcare system, but a source of profound knowledge about the organizing principles of nature. Thank you very much. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Dr. Bodekar. Even though in spatial times you are far away, you have been always with us on many occasions, and you touch our heart always, and your heart is in the Ayurveda, and so is the case with Dr. P.K. where we appreciate your kind words, and this meeting has enriched by your presence here. I don't know what time of you woke up to be with us. We thankfully remember your kindness to come and speak on this great soul. I'm so touched by Dr. Vaidya Kottakal's presence, because he had to attend multitudes of offices in Delhi and elsewhere. Even then, he found time to come and join in this commemorative meeting. And Rajesh Kottakkal does not require any introduction to any of us. A leader and a veteran who is taking Ayush ministry to the higher planes of application and reach. And he has joined us to be with us to share the sorrow of departure of a great soul. Welcome, Vaidya Rajesh Kottakkal.
Namaskar to all, Honorable Minister Dr. Valiathan ji, Professor Gigi, Professor Patwardhanji, Dr. Bodekar, and all dignitaries. And this is the loss of Dr. Warrier is a loss of the nation also. We all know that. And actually, I have no word to express how we can fill this gap. But Dr. Bodekar rightly said that he had this 100 years of life full of contributions and energy, and he was ever young, even at the age of 100. So that is Ayurveda, and we all, will take the lesson from him, how we all also live 100 years following his path and legacy. We all know that he has made special efforts to incorporate technological innovations in the manufacturing processes of Ayurvedic medicine. He is actually the first who was talking about the quality aspects of Ayurvedic medicine and while manufacturing, and then qualitative medicine is his contribution in the Free India. In order to make the medicinal preparations more accurate, he even established a research laboratory for the identification of medicinal plants and to ascertain the chemical identity of its pharmaceutical constituents. So he was first in establishing all these things. This was to equip Ayurveda to confront future healthcare challenges. Now, this facility established by him has grown into the Center for Medicinal Plant Research, a full-fledged research institution which is known for his contribution. So usually when we acknowledge his contributions, we acknowledge his contributions in the form of Arya Vaidya Sala and the clinical setup, which is delivering a lot and equally serving the people of all sectors of life. His model, we all know that his model of serving the people was unique. Is unique. That is a trust model where he was a strong believer to give back to the community and to the nation whatever is coming through the his and his team's professional service. It is a unique model, and this model is very highly appreciated by all of us. That is why a self-sustaining college is running there, and this college is also having a lot of contribution in the form of great scholars coming out from this college. In his more than 70-decade career, Dr. Warrier set a benchmark for the Indian traditional healing system and played a pivotal role for the renaissance of Ayurveda, and the Arya Vaidya Sala grew into a premier center of Ayurvedic medicine, converting traditional healing with a modern outlook while preserving its classical methods. This is all his contribution. Actually, Kerala, in so many places, when we talk about Ayurveda, Arya Vaidya Sala is synonymous to Ayurveda. When we talk about the Kerala Ayurveda traditions, it is that much like influence and contribution from him that we all fondly remember and will remember forever. In the later decades, he also modernizing drug manufacturing, adopted scientific methods in prescription and treatment, promoted cultivation of medicinal plants to ensure steady supply of herbs, started research and launched a publication division to popularize Ayurveda among scientific fraternity. So in one small life, we can imagine how many areas he has contributed, not only the clinical practice but scientific research, publication, medicine plant cultivation, research institution, medicine plant research. So you name it, and he did some contribution into the sector, and he had a lot of contacts with the best scientists of the country and abroad, and he had a great influence on them, and he has actually converted a lot of such scientists into the Ayurveda Bhakta, because he was able to convince them that this is a science and it needs more and more validation. And probably most of us are strong believer of that particular legacy of Dr. Warrier, and I only remember him, and we hope and we pray for the ultimate freedom for his soul. But on the occasion of Guru Purnima of today, it's the right day and to pay respect to Dr. Warrier, because he has proved that he was Guru Nam Guru. He was Guru of Gurus, and the day of Guru Purnima is actually the right day to meet together and have a commemorative symposium and to talk about his contributions. And he has a great life, and then it is a celebration of his life actually. So in place of we say that it is too sad, we should say that he has actually lived 100 years and he has contributed a lot. Let's together take his task forward and make it big. That is what I wanted to convey, and I sincerely from Government of India wanted to convey my regards and condolences to the family of Dr. Warrier. Namaskaram. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha. As an administrator, as a scholar, and as a clinician of par excellence, you have touched all the points that Dr. P.K. Warrier has contributed in the field of Ayurveda. We are thankful to you for your time, and we take the expectation that you have desired through your speech that taking Ayurveda to the frontiers will be one of our efforts. I am extremely grateful that Professor Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, who has been a fellow traveler with many of us, who is a mentor of many Ayurvedic graduates through his Vaidya Scientist program, who has been the National Professor of Ayush, who has been the UGC Vice Chairman till last March, and he is a scholar par excellence and who tried to bridge the two sciences, the holistic science of Ayurveda with the reductionistic science of modern bioscience, modern science, including biomedical sciences. And he has been one of the contributing experts in the theory and practice of Ayurveda biology propounded by Dr.M.S.Valiathan. And his work with Kottakkal through Nimitil and Golden Triangle programs, etc. are well known, and his contribution to the genetics areas of Ayurveda's contribution also is known. I invite Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan to share his experience and feelings on this grand day of remembering a great soul.
Namaskaram, Dr. Gangadharan. Thank you for this, and also thank you, CISA, for this program to pay our respect and remembrance to Dr. Warrier. I just happened to share electronically on the webinar just last month, 8th of June. And I must tell you what the minister also mentioned, his voice, his presence was so graceful and so solid that I must say that he walked the talk. He always walked the talk. Jiveta Sharada Shatam, that's what we say. He actually did that and showed us how it can be done, and how Ayurveda can help us, because he actually did it for himself, not just advice to others. I'm also grateful that two people who are responsible for me getting in touch with him are here today, Dr. Gangadharan and Dr. M.S.Valiathan. They introduced me to Dr. Warrier, and since then we have met a couple of times, and I visited the Arya Vaidya Sala Kottakkal. And I must tell you that Dr. Valiathan, when it comes to any kind of a research, he will insist that no, the medicines must come from Arya Vaidya Sala Kottakkal. He used to say that the quality of Ayurveda Kottakkal I would blindly trust, and this is the certificate, which is not coming from any IS or anything. It is coming from a renowned scientist like Valiathan, means a lot. I visited that, and I must tell you that the kind of facility and the kind of commitment that Dr. Warrier and his colleague have shown at Arya Vaidya Sala Kottakkal is unmatchable. And the Nimitli program, what Dr. Gangadharan mentioned, New Millennium Indian Technology Leadership Initiative, Arya Vaidya Sala Kottakkal was our industry partner, and they supplied us quality medicines on which we could do a lot of research. So on one side, Dr. Warrier was a very, very classical Ayurvedic practitioner, and just by seeing him, you would get half cured. And his I can still remember his presence in variety of different things. When you look at him, you feel peaceful. You look at him, you feel purity. So these were the kind of feelings which we used to have when we used to meet him, and his mission, I would say, is very, very efficiently continuing. And as Jerry Bodeker said, that he is unstoppable now, because the way in which Dr. Indira and Dr. PM Warrior and all of them are continuing his mission, he is really with us in that manner, and I would like to really pay my respect and wish all his team, and I'm part of that, all the best to continue his thoughts and his mission. Thank you, Dr. Gangadharan, again, and thank you, Sisa.
Thank you, Professor Bhushan, for your very profound words about your experience and your practical experience with this great soul. We always would like to work with you, and I'm sure Dr. P.M. Warrior and Dr. Indira Balachandran are listening to you. And this work started with your support in many places, and in Kottakkal will be taken forward by many of us. We are informed that Honorable Minister has to leave for another meeting, so he apologized for his absence till now, since now. And I note the presence of honorable people like Dr. Majid, MD of Sami Labs, Dr. Katyar from Calcutta, and Dr. Ms. Haig from Germany, among others, have joined to listen to many of these experts. I welcome all of them and any others who have joined. I am extremely privileged. Also, if Dr. Majid is available on the forum, please come forward and say a few words, because we have been one of the great supporter and great fan of Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala. He has been telling to us many a time, whenever there is Ayurveda, I want to be there, because he says he has immensely benefited by Ayurveda. So I invite Dr. Majid, Managing Director of Sami Labs, and I request our CISA team to unmute and make him co-host so that he can speak to all of us. In case there is a delay, please show your hand, Dr. Majid, when you are ready. And I would like to inform the august audience that a team of scientists from Germany, and who has been part of promoting authentic, ethical, quality Ayurveda in West, especially in Europe, and pivoted in Germany, has been part of this symposium. And Dr. Shal Kumar, who has been an Ayurveda graduate from India, Kerala, Coimbatore College, who has been the head of this institute in Germany, will be speaking to us. I will request him to, after his presentation, other three scientists who have been associated very closely with Kottakkal Arya Sala, who has signed agreements with Kottakkal Arya Sala on clinical researches and other kind of studies, and request him to carry on after your presentation the video given by them to contribute to the tribute being made today on PK Vaidya. Welcome, Dr. Shalkumar.
Thank you, Dr. Gangadhan. Thank you, CISA, for inviting me and my team from Germany. It is a great honor to talk about our great Dr. P.K. Warrier, a legend and pioneer of Ayurveda. I pay respect, my tribute here for him. He was a genuine personality and received many awards, highest Indian awards like Padma Shri and Padmabhushan. He lived, as we know, he lived according to Ayurvedic principles. He's a best example for students, teachers, physicians, and researchers. I'm very lucky to meet him several times at Kottakkal, along with our collaboration with our university. We used to talk, and I feel that he's having a genuine interest to promote Ayurveda internationally. He's a person of pure heart, having a high sattva quality. As we know, he modernized Ayurveda, holding the values of classical Ayurveda. I would tell that he is a karma yogi of Ayurveda. So I thank once again for inviting me here, and I will pass on to my colleagues. They are Dr. Thomas, he's my colleague. He's the head of the Department of Internal Medicine. He will be following me. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shalkumar. I understand that Dr. Thomas Ramp, who is an MD, is the Assistant Director, Hospital for Natural and Integrative Medicine, Kliniken Essen Mitte, University Duisburg, Essen, Germany. His video will be on.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Thomas Ramp, representative of the University of Duisburg-Essen. And I want to convey our heartfelt condolences to the family, the colleagues, and friends of the respected doyen of Ayurveda, Dr. P.K. Warrior, who passed away a few days ago. Dr. P.K. Warrior was nearly a century engaged in the practice and the distribution of authentic Ayurveda, which is without any doubt the leading route of traditional Indian medicine. My colleague, Dr. Shalkumar, and I met Dr. Warrier several times, and in a foresight, he supported our common project of bringing authentic Ayurveda to Germany. The Memorandum of Understanding, the following exchange program with students, is a lighthouse project between India and Germany. Essen University is so thankful that Dr. Warrior was a marvelous partner for over a decade. This partnership was a great step forward to establish traditional Ayurveda in the heart of Europe. So he was indeed a pioneer of integrative medicine, which brings different medical systems together for the benefit of the patient. Thank you so much for your support, wise decisions, and friendly partnership. Dr. Warrior will always have a place in our hearts. May his heavenly residence be full of happiness and peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas Ramp, for this message. Now I invite Dr.Aline Sigrist, PhD in Health Anthropology, Research Fellow of the University of Lausanne, Coordinator of PhD Program, Health, Medicine and Society, Institute of Health Law, University of Newcastle. Please, this video, please.
Dear all, it is with deep regret and great emotion that I learned that Dr.P.K. Warrier, head of Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala, has passed away at the age of 100 years. And it is also with great regret that I cannot participate today in this ceremony in his memory and share with all of you here present our memories and tribute to this great Vaidya. Unfortunately, I'm currently without internet connection for a few days. Nevertheless, it is a great honor for me, and I am profoundly touched to be able to transmit this message to you. And thanks Dr. Indulal for asking me to express a few words on this day. I met Dr. P.K. Warrier in 2010 during my stay in Kottakkal while I was doing my research on Ayurveda in India for my master thesis in anthropology at the University of Neuchâtel in Switzerland. At that time, I barely knew about Ayurveda, and I had chosen to conduct a study on Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala, which seems to me to be a cornerstone of Ayurveda in India. I had no idea how much this stay and my research in Kottakkal AVS would guide the rest of my career path and would leave such a deep impression on me. Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala generously opened its door to me, gave me the opportunity to immerse myself directly in Ayurveda, allow me to initiate the beginnings of my research and to realize a first very beautiful master thesis on the institutionalization of Ayurveda in India. I had the privilege to meet and exchange with many Vaidyas of AVS, among them Dr. Raja Gopalan, who was very welcoming. My exchanges with all these Vaidyas contribute to my growing interest in Ayurveda and were very stimulating. Their interest in my research deeply touched me. I also remember the warm exchanges I had with all the people in AVS. I will always keep in me this extraordinarily and deeply touching human experience. This day in Kottakkal was unique for me, and from then on I decided to continue to work on Ayurveda because it was so inspiring for me. I would like to express my great gratitude to Dr. P.K. Warrier, thanks to whom I was able to live this experience and who particularly inspired me. I still remember our first meeting. I had decided to interview him for my research, and I saw he didn't want to meet me. I was asked to give him my question in advance, and I had to wait several days to meet him. But then I realized that, because of his advanced age, he could not hear well, and that in my then raw English, he wanted to make sure he could answer them well. I still see him sitting in front of me, extremely calm and smiling, very humble, and I was immediately impressed by his person. He also took the time to receive me, even though he seems to have a lot of work to do during this busy summer period at the center. When I arrived, he was working on patient cases, and I remember being impressed with his dedication to patients, continuing to work at his advanced age. Our exchange was extremely inspiring, but most of all, very touching, and I will always remember that image. And I am particularly honored to have had the opportunity to meet such a great person and Vaidya. This stay in Kottakkal allowed me to meet a whole generation of traditional Vaidyas witnesses of the evolution of this medicine and its history. They transmitted to me a part of this history, and since then I try to pass it on in turn through my research. Since then, I have been able to continue my path and my research on Ayurveda. I have just finished my PhD thesis on Ayurveda in Switzerland, following my research in Kottakkal. This first PhD thesis on Ayurveda in Switzerland has been highly acclaimed, and I am proud to be able to collaborate in a common vision for the development of Ayurveda globally. In a way, this is perhaps my own contribution in memory and honor of the incredible work done by Dr. P.K. Warrier, who was committed to the development of Ayurveda, who has greatly perpetuated the tradition of this ancestral medicine. So, it is truly with great honor that I express these few words and memories today, and my sincere condolences to his family, his relatives, the Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala, and the Ayurveda community in India and around the world. Kottakkal AVS and Dr. P.K. Warrier were a very enriching encounter for me and deeply contribute to my interest in Ayurveda. I am very touched to have met him at the beginning of my path toward this knowledge and to have been inspired to continue my research on Ayurveda, which led me to accomplish this PhD thesis on Ayurveda in Switzerland. Although I cannot be there with you today in presence, be sure that my heart and my soul are with you on this day of commemoration, and that it is a great honor to express these few words. I wish you all a wonderful ceremony in memory of Dr. P.K. Warrier, whom I will always remember. With my deepest respect, I wish you all a beautiful day.
Thank you, Dr.Aline. I now invite Mr. Hubertus, an Ayurveda dealer and a promoter of Ayurveda in Germany, and is an authentic dealer of Ayurveda medicines from Kottakkal in part of Europe. Mr. Hubertus, please.
Namaste. Thank you very much for the opportunity to offer my deepest condolences to all family members from P.K. Warrier. I want to introduce myself. My name is Hubertus. I import Ayurvedic medicine from AVS for Germany. I had the great honor to see P.K. Warrier in person in 2017. I was invited to an introduction for German students at the university in Kottakkal. This invitation was made possible through Dr. Gerard. I am deeply saddened by his irreplaceable loss. His legacy will live forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hubertus. I note the presence of Dr. Madan from UK and Inan Mehrotra. Before inviting respected Dr. Madhavankutti, I would like to invite Dr. Madan to say a few words before we invite Dr. Madhavankutti. And after that, I would like Dr. Mehrotra to say a few words.
Gigi, namaskaram. It's an honor and a delight to be with all of you today to commemorate the great life of Dr. Warrier. And I feel privileged that you wanted me to say a few words. I'm just listening to all the people who interacted with P.K. Warrier. My interactions are on two occasions, or three occasions. The first one was on his 90th birthday, when I visited Kottakkal and spent time with him. And the second one was a little later on. And in all those occasions, all the comments that are coming through from everybody here is what was felt by myself and everybody who was there. And he has left a big legacy here for us and a challenge for all of us. People of that time, they seem to have commitment and the passion and the connections to nature, which was very eloquently presented to us by Vandana ji here. And it brings all of those values up again at a time when we are faced with such challenges. Vandana ji presented so eloquently about the challenges we face today. Jerry Bodeka presented similar things. I feel we are left with a big challenge that we have to take forward. And there will be many initiatives from many of us here to take forward some of the work that P.K. Warrier ji has completed, challenging us to do a little more. So my gratitude for the energy that I could gather from those few interactions with P.K. Warrier ji, and the responsibility that is left on all of us to continue this good work. Thank you so much, Gigi. Thank you for inviting me to share the few words. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Dr. Madan. We always cherish your presence in all the Ayurveda forums as invited speakers, as a collaborator, as a participant, and you have taken Ayurveda to Europe through good conferences, which is being headed by you, and your Ayush Valley Foundation efforts are being remembered by all the lovers of Ayurveda in India. Thank you for kind words. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Narendra Mehrotra, who has been a veteran in promoting Ayurveda, the founder and the director of Jeevani Society, and he is a deputy director ex of CDRI Lucknow. We traveled together for more than 35 years in the work of Lok Swasthya Parambara Samvardhan Samiti kind of social organizations. He has been a very good supporter and leader in the case of taking Ayurveda to the people. I invite him to say a few words on this great soul today.
Thank you, Gangadharan, for giving me this opportunity on this very special occasion. And I, as all of us who are present here today, have always been inspired and touched by the simplicity and commitment of late Professor Vaidya Warrier, P.K. Warrier ji. I distinctly remember 2-3 occasions, particularly when he was always very supportive, and the first one of them was when they started the Kottakkal Center in Delhi. And then when I invited him for a meeting in Lucknow in 2000, and he came and spent a full day with us. And I was always touched by the core principle of the Arya Vaidya Sala Kottakkal, that we treat people, we don't treat disease, was the real dictum that sums up the Ayurvedic approach. And as said by many friends, he was always very supportive of our idea of promoting herbal gardens and encouraging the use of medicinal plants at the family level, at the community level. And I'm happy that we have been able to contribute a little bit in that direction. And he was always very supportive whenever we approached him for any of these issues that was so dear to him. And as said by several others, the purity of and the holistic understanding of Ayurveda that the Arya Vaidya Sala has promoted was a great thing. And keeping in touch with the modern science, when the Mysore unit was started, he met me someplace and he said, "Why don't you visit?" I told him I go to Mysore once in a while for some relations. And when I went to see that unit, Madhavankutty rang up the in charge of the unit there. And it was really wonderful, you know, one of the best facilities I could see. I've seen many facilities. All the modern science being followed with strict traditional principles that have to be followed. So that merging of the modern science with the classical Ayurveda was the strength that late P.K. Warrier ji gave to this country, which we are all very proud of, and we are sure that we'll be able to continue the light that he has given to us for furthering the cause of Ayurveda and human health. Thank you, Ganga, once again.
Thank you, Dr. Mahrotra. We understand your feeling and we share your feeling. Thanks for joining us. Now, before we invite Dr. P.M.Warrier, who is going to take the leadership of these great institutions, it remembers me a great word that we always use, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. And a great personality, he himself, I'm sure, has imbibed the essence of the culture that has been nurtured by great soul like P.K. Warrior, before that P.S. Warrior, before, in between a short while P.M. Warrior, will be taken with the right spirit, right enthusiasm, and more rigor, because he has been with the field of science along with many contemporary movements. We at CISA, especially at Global Ayurveda Festival, very cherishingly remember his leadership and his simplicity and partnership whenever he finds there is an opportunity to support the cause of Ayurveda. He has never said no to any good things that comes to him. We are extremely one-way satisfied. I don't use the word happy because of this occasion. I say we are satisfied and we feel Ayurveda is highly, and Kottakkal Arya Vaidya is honored by the leadership of Dr. P.M. Warrier. I am sure his long-lasting leadership will continue with the same spirit and same strength that P.K. Warrier has handed over to him over the years of coexistence and training under Dr. P.K. Warrier. I also want to remember the people who have contributed, like Dr. Indira Balachandran and many, Dr. Muralidharan, many of them to know, who have made this great institution what it is today. Actually, the global leadership that is given by Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala and the global brand that Ayurveda has become, a great contribution of Arya Vaidya Sala Kottakkal will be always remembered. We all, the lovers of Ayurveda, look with great expectation, hope, and inspiration to Dr. P.M. Warrier, who can guide this great institution to further fame and glory and richness. I am sure he will fulfill our desire by his leadership. May I invite Dr. P.M. Warrier to give concluding remarks and thanksgiving before I invite Dr. Suresh Kumar Triveni.
Thank you, Dr. G. Gangadharan. Dear seniors, friends, a very good evening to one and all. It's a very, very rememberable occasion. To respect Dr. P.K. Warrier and pay tributes to him. It's very true. He has led the institution for the last 67 years, and he has taken the institution and Ayurveda from heights to heights. It's a great loss for us, but it is unavoidable. I had the occasion to be with him for the last 52 years in different positions and different occasions, traveling with him, taking his advice in treatment as well as manufacture of medicines, everything. Whatever we have the doubt, we just ask him, it will be cleared practically. And he is a very great lover of Ayurveda. Always he used to tell that we have to bring back all these specialities in Ayurveda as it was there in the olden days. See, for example, now all the deliveries take place in hospitals. He wanted to establish a delivery ward in Kottakkal where normal deliveries are taking place. There will be no, of course, if there is a necessity, there will be cesarean. Otherwise, there will be no cesarean to see that the birth is taken place at a particular auspicious time. If there is no complication, there will be no cesarean. And he wants to encourage the Garbhani Parijirya, the Sudhigya Parijirya, all the Chara Sutra, all the specialities mentioned in Ayurveda. So now we have just started a cellular department and postnatal department. These are all with his to fulfill his vision. And as all of you mentioned and appreciated, he's really a great leader, has traveled throughout the world, many places, and attended many scientists, conferences, discussions, and he was member in many of the government committees and even private committees. I don't have any words to express my feelings towards him. And all of you wished, I will definitely try to follow his footsteps and contribute to Ayurveda as well as make Ayurveda Vaidya Sala go higher and higher. With these few words, I conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.Madhavankutty, for your very condensed way of thanksgiving and elaborating the points in which you will be working in the future, especially on the Prasudi and Garbhani Parijirya. It's very welcome stature from you. I'm sure there are many people who are who are there, but to respect the time and time of the participants, I thankfully invite Dr. Suresh Kumar, the Vice President, Triveni, Vice President of CISA. Before handing over to him, I want to remember myself the effort taken by Dr. C. Suresh Kumar, the General Secretary of CISA, who has been instrumental to have this meeting the way we have conducted today. And also our colleagues in CISA like Dr. Vishnu Nambudiri, Dr. Bichu Kumar, and others who have been instrumental to hold this meeting. I think this is one of the meetings that we have conducted with very precise, very professionally, and very with time bound, and with very selected, very people who have actually touched the life of P.K. Warrier and Kottakkal Arya Vaidya Sala. And we have the fortune to meet. My team visited last week Dr. Suresh Kumar, Triveni and Suresh Kumar, General Secretary, and Dr. Rajshekharan and Dr. Vishnu Nambudiri and others, and made our tribute to P.K. Warrier. Also, we congratulated Dr. P.M. Warrier for taking up the realm of Kottakkal Arya's leadership. I thankfully remember all these things, and I consider this is a great occasion for all of us to remember and take energy to work forward for future build-up of Ayurveda, not only in India, but globally. With these few words, I invite Dr. C. Suresh Kumar, is the Managing Director of Triveni Nursing Home and the Vice President of CISA, who has been one of the founders of CISA and who has been traveling with all of us for the last 1.5 decades, taking the course of Ayurveda and allied Indian sciences. Welcome, Sri Suresh Kumar.
Most respected dignitaries, my teachers, colleagues, and friends, a warm good evening. Only a few people get to live a long life, and fewer amongst them live a fruitful life like Dr. P.K. Warrier, sir. Two stalwarts made Ayurveda to be one of the household name in India, and one was Dr. P.K. Warrier sir, and other was Krishnamar P.R. Krishnakumar. Even during the pandemic, they were at the forefront of Ayurveda fraternity, guiding us battle the deadly virus, and unfortunately, both of them are not with us even now, and we lost them. Dr. P.K. Vadisar's name is interwoven with the modern history of Ayurveda. While most of us have benefited from Ayurveda, the whole Ayurveda fraternity has benefited a lot from P.K. Vadisar and his work and his life. We gave much more than that. He gave much more than that what he has to, and he should be the legacy we all strive and uphold and honor. It is said that a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. We have Warrier sir as a shining example proving this. So rather than mourning his demise, we should celebrate his life. That is, so many people have been telling we should celebrate his life. I feel highly privileged and honored to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of CISA and Global Ayurveda Festival. I would like to thank Honorable Minister C. V. Muralidharan, Minister for State of External Minister and Parliamentary Affairs, who found time to grace this memorial service. Thank you, sir, for your kind words. I would also like to thank Padmabhushan Dr.M.S. Swaminathan, who in spite of his ill health has sent a message to share his memories about Warrior sir. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to extend my thanks to Padmabhushan M.S. Valiathan, sir, who readily agreed to join us to reminisce Warrior sir. And thank you, sir. We are highly grateful to you. Thanks to Padma Shri Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha, who also graced us with presence of today's meeting and remembering the contribution of Warrior sir pertaining to the quality of medicine and research. It is with great pride I thank Dr. Vandana Shiva for sharing her experience and memories of Warrior sir with us. Thank you, ma'am, for inspirational words similar to Purushoyam Yoga Samhita. And coming to Dr.Gerard Bodekar, thank you, sir, for your thoughts on Warrior sir as a guru and also Vasudeva Kudumbakam. Dr. Shal, my friend, and his colleagues, and also Dr. Madan Thangavelu, Dr. Mehrota for their tributes, wishing Dr. P.M. Warrier sir, he is my mentor also, all success in continuing the legacy of Warrior sir. On behalf of SITA, I thank all stalwarts in their own field for finding time to address the gathering. I need not thank Dr. Gangadharan as he is part of our system. And on behalf of SISA, we would like to thank all who has joined us today to remember this great legend. Thank you for spending the evening with us. Thank you and Jai Hind. Namaste.